This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday as we welcome you into Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony alongside Dustin Sweetelson in for JVT today. What's up, dude?
What's good? I appreciate you letting me feel acclimated in your environment here. You did not touch the thermostat when you walked into the room. It's at a very perfectly nice 69 degrees. But I know, having done the show after you a few times this week, you cranked that puppy up to like 73 degrees, which is absolutely psychotic in the summer in the desert.
So what I try to do here for those of you when we have in-studio people that have to wear jackets, you men, you have to like be more professional. I can wear t-shirts and stuff like that because they're fashionable.
So you put
for
the jacket on today.
I put the jacket on today.
You thought about this.
So as to be comfortable so that we could both enjoy the environment together.
I very much appreciate that. So we're all going to be comfortable over the course of the next 2 hours.
I run cold.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I run hot. I mean, that would be the understatement of the century. If you're pushing $3 bills, odds are you sweat when you eat, you sweat when you walk. So summers are brutal out here.
Speaking of eating, happy Burger Day for you and those who celebrate.
This is crazy.
Not that I don't. I do as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I'm the only one who eats burgers.
That came out so wrong.
No, I had no idea. It's National Cheeseburger Day. And I got to tell you, something weird did happen for me over the weekend. I know by looking right now, YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, you're like, hold on. This is going to sound like a lie. I don't ever order cheeseburgers when I go to a restaurant. However, I did on Saturday. I went to Frankie's Uptown, downtown Summerlin. I ordered a smash burger. I think I might need to order more cheeseburgers when I go out.
They're fire. I will ask the question, though, at least real quickly. You know how during 4th of July and whatever, there's always this big contingent of people who are anti-ketchup on a hot dog? That doesn't cross over for hamburgers, cheeseburgers, right?
No.
Like, why don't people come with that same energy for a cheeseburger the way they do for a hot dog?
How about this? I'll go the other way. Keep your mustard off of my hamburger or cheeseburger. Wow. I just want my ketchup. I'll even do a little mayo, but keep the mustard away. Mustard's for the hot dog.
Them's is fighting words. Let's get into an interesting result from this morning real quickly. Listen, you tune in for a numbers game for the tennis, but even I, when I got the notification on my phone this morning, seeing that Jannik Sinner got upset as a minus 12,000 favorite, said, what the hell just happened this morning?
Yeah, I'm assuming it's injury. We're not exactly tennis experts, the two of us here, but opened as the favorite to win the Open, minus 375. He was minus 10 to 12,000 today. He was up 5-1 in the third and lost 15 consecutive points. Like, I know momentum is a thing in sports that some people either subscribe to or don't. I don't know if this is momentum or this is something happened to Sinner, but this is a shocker because it does feel like Sinner to win the Open. You know, Mitch and Paul do the pizza parlays where everyone throws everything together. Feels like Sinner to win this event was something everyone was tossing into those parlays to make them a little bit bigger.
For sure. I was looking at some of the post-match sound from him, and he said even earlier in the morning when he woke up, he just felt a little bit off. As the court went on, he was cramping. He was feeling dizzy. He didn't have the energy that he needed to serve, and then it just absolutely fell apart. It is also 92 degrees out there. He didn't want to blame the heat, but it's the hottest, according to the documentation here, hottest May 28th in over 80 years out there, so there's that element to it. Favorite now to win it all, Alexander Zverev, plus 185, Novak Djokovic, your second shot on the board at plus 370, and that will conclude our tennis talk for the day.
So we're going to blame global warming for the favorite not getting home in the French Open.
We blame him for everything. We got a big show on deck, though, lots to get to throughout the course of the next 2 hours. Let's set the table with everything that's to come. Time for the rundown.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is the Rundown.
Lots to get to on the diamond in particular here today, Dustin. And I know when you look at the MLB slate, say, okay, short six-game slate. What are you talking about, Stormy? Well, we have the Women's College World Series already underway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're all over it.
Mississippi State got run ruled to start by Texas Tech. We will have 4 games throughout the course of the day. We'll at least tell you the odds as we get to them. But big college baseball, the road to Omaha begins tomorrow. Excited to have Jensen Lewis join the program a little bit later. He's out there in Morgantown. And I know some MLB you've got in pocket for today.
Yeah, plenty of baseball to look at. We also have some news out of the game about to get going in 6 minutes. We'll touch on that in a moment. But Simeon Woods-Richardson is now the starter for Minnesota. Rojas, the lefty, removed from this start with elbow soreness, which means it's going to be a bullpen game because Woods-Richardson just threw against Chicago on Monday in this series. So this number's been steamy. From minus 120 last night of the White Sox up to minus 175. Davis Martin on the bump on the other side.
Okay, it is win or stay home tonight for the Spurs against OKC. San Antonio 3.5-point favorite to extend the series. The big question, though, should we be worried about Wemby coming off his worst performance of the playoffs in Game 5? We'll break down where the money is going, where our money is going as well, because yesterday on Follow the Money, I heard you already made a play.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do the JVT thing. While I'm sitting in, filling in for him, it's going to annoy everyone out there. I'm going to declaratively say, series is over. We're not going 7. Believe me, I want it to go 7. I want this to be stretched out. And as a Knicks fan and someone who has 15-1 on them to win the title, I'd like this series to go 7. But I think everything we saw in Game 6 indicates where we're headed. Okay. One team has the experience. The other team's starting to show some cracks. I love the Thunder plus the 3.5. I may lay a price with them at some point today.
We love the alts. We'll preview that game a couple of times today. Also very excited to have SiriusXM NBA radio host Mitch Lawrence join the program, get his perspective not only that game in that series, but whoever wins, how they might fare against the New York Knicks, who have already obviously had that side decided in the East. And then on the ice is where we're going to kick things off here real quickly following a shutout 4-0 win in Montreal last night. The bunch of jerks, those Carolina Hurricanes, now 1 win away from being back in the Stanley Cup final for the first time in 20 years. Carolina took money. It comes home. The total goes under. Carolina outshot Montreal 43-18.
Everyone outshoots Montreal these days, though. I mean, teams not even playing are outshooting Montreal in some of these games. Carolina's running the playoffs. It's going to wind up being one of the most dominant potentially. 11 wins, 1 loss, 5 wins in overtime, 6-0 on the road, 2 at the Bell Center this series alone. I know road ice hasn't really mattered in the postseason, but Carolina's a dominating force. I know some people questioned them after Game 1. Rest versus Rust. Rust won that one. Rest is going to win the rest of the way because Montreal looks tired.
Yeah, I mean, they've played more games. They've played as many games as you possibly can to this point, having to go 7 in both of their first 2 rounds. They also have had 7 overtime games, by the way, and it's starting to add up. You mentioned that Game 1 for Carolina. They looked like a team that had 12 days off at that point, right? They have now gotten to their game. This was the first game, by the way, even of these 3 straight wins that Carolina has had, where the scoreboard finally reflects how dominant they actually were in the game. We talk about that shot differential. It has been massive in all 3 of their wins now. Montreal was just a shot away in the previous 2 of winning with those games going to overtime. But Carolina was clearly the better team in that. I wanted to play real quickly this sound from Martin St. Louis following the game, talking about, like, the shooting issues that they have had and the uphill battle ahead in the series.
You know, I guess you heard the fans third period. They're yelling, shoot the puck. They're frustrated. Your players are frustrated. How do you deal with that frustration when the guys
stand tall,
get a shot?
Stand tall.
Is there something different that they need
The game's going to humble you. You know, whenever you get humble, you just stand tall. It's not fun to hear that, but they're not wrong.
What are the keys to climbing out of a 3-1 deficit?
It's just not worry about the whole. It's just winning a game, one game. You know, you can't look at the mountain. You just got to, look at what's in front of you and stay present.
And it has been a mountain for every other team in this position. Teams with a 3-1 series lead in the conference finals are semis, Dustin. 72-1 in NHL series history. The only team to ever come back. 2000, the Devils, the Flyers blew a 3-1 lead back then.
I like those clips. I like those quotes. That's what a leader is supposed to sound like. He's supposed to sit up there, and when it's hard, Victor Wembanyama, in the moment, you're supposed to talk about the adversity that's in front of you. You're supposed to there represent your team and let them know what they're up against, but also put it into perspective on a way to chip away and get over the hump. I really like that. As someone who reads 75% of a self-help book and thinks I'm all fixed, that sounds like a lot of advice I would get in those 75% of those books I was reading.
14-1 if you think Montreal can come all the way back.
No. They may have one in them. Yeah. But as someone who roots for chaos, I love the potential matchup with VGK in the final because you have Carolina on one side who's looking to get over the hump again, back to the promised land after 2002 when they won the cup last time? Something like that. Either way.
2006.
So they're trying to get over there. Brind'Amour's been close, and they just haven't gotten there. Versus VGK, the most privileged fan base place in all of sports who just finds their way into the Cup final once again after existing for 9 seasons. It would be really gross for Carolina if they can't beat VGK in the final.
Yeah, I actually feel terrible for Carolina's fan base, especially given the comparison like you just set out. Like Vegas is like, oh yeah, we're just going to be back in the final again for the second time in 4 years, third time in our young history. You've been 2 decades now that you haven't seen it, and you continue to die in the Eastern Conference Final, so at least they're going to get that. Last 90 seconds here real quickly. Hit me with the baseball. What are you looking at here?
Davis Martin and the White Sox hosting the Twins today. We mentioned Rojas swapped out because of the elbow soreness. A lot of my bet was based on the White Sox being able to smash left-handed pitching this year. I don't know if people realize offensively for the last month, this has been one of the best teams in baseball offensively. And 4th in OPS, 2nd in home runs against lefties. Unfortunately, they're going to face a righty to begin, Simeon Woods Richardson. But he's going to give way to the rest of a Twins bullpen that is very, very bad. On the other side, Davis Martin has found himself as a starter. He's got a filthy slider. Chicago's 8-1 straight up in his starts, 8 wins by 3+ runs, 7 straight victories in this run for him. And first time seeing Minnesota this year. Results weren't great this year, but I think he's a different pitcher. He's also different at home versus the road. You can't lay, it's now minus 190. You can't lay 190. You're not supposed to lay the run line minus 1.5 plus 113 at home with the home team. If I was going to do anything right now, I'd look at the team total for the White Sox, over 4.5, plus 110. Get a nice little juicy plus price on that. They just dropped 15 yesterday. This offense is humming. I think they get to whoever Minnesota winds up throwing out there today.
Okay, beautiful. And we'll have more Major League Baseball talk a little bit later on in the show, as we mentioned, especially with a couple of the pitching performances that we saw yesterday, pushing it forward to awards markets. But on this day last year, OKC defeated the Timberwolves 124-94 in Game 5 of the Western Conference Final to punch their ticket to the NBA Finals for the first time in 2012. Can they do the same today to go back-to-back against San Antonio? We will discuss when we return here. We are just getting started on Money Moves.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The defending champs, Oklahoma City, 1 game away from back-to-back Western Conference titles. They're 3.5-point dogs, though, tonight as San Antonio tries to extend this thing out to 7. Stormy Buonantony, Dustin Sweetelson with you. For reference, the winner of Game 5 in a best-of-7 tied 2-2, we love these, goes on to win the series 82% of the time in NBA postseason history. And following the Thunder's win the other night, OKC improves to 9-0 the last 2 postseasons off of a loss. Wow, what a bounce back.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, but that's championship metal. And I think that's something we're seeing out of the Thunder right now is the experience is shown. We wondered, because in the NBA historically, you go back and look, teams that are this inexperienced and as young as the Spurs, they don't just show up and win a title. You have to have something to get over. The Knicks are a good example. The Knicks kept going a little bit further, get knocked down, come back up. Now they find themselves in the finals. I think with the Spurs, as amazing as Wemby is, he's a generational player, generational talent. Is he a top 2-3 guy? Probably not yet, based on what we've seen recently in dealing with adversity. But looking at this series right now, I thought we saw out of Game 5 was one team has been through this before, understands how to navigate these waters at the end of a season, and another team is just very, very green in this spot.
From an injury standpoint, still no A.J. Mitchell for OKC. Jalen Williams questionable, dealing with the hamstring. Although, according to a lot of the stuff I was seeing, more likely he's going to try to give it a go because he was a game-time decision in Game 5.
So I'm very curious to see how they manage him here because they don't need this one. They have a mulligan. They have a throwaway to play with. The problem becomes for the Thunder, though, role players play better at home. I'm not breaking any news there. And the role players performed well last game. Can that travel into a crazy San Antonio environment where that team's now going to be playing with their life on the line? I don't know if I'd rush J-Dub back. I might only use him if I need him in Game 7 and make sure he's at his best potential health versus running the risk of him going out there today being limited, factoring him into your game plan, but then not being able to use him like you originally planned.
On the other side for San Antonio, everybody's playing. We know De'Aaron Fox is back, Dylan Harper's back, but they don't look like they're back.
Yeah, that's an issue. That's a big concern. I kind of like Stephon Castle over on his PRA tonight.
Okay.
I think there's some limitations from both of those guys. And let's remember that Dylan Harper's a rookie. Like, this is the first NBA season he's ever been through. He's playing more games than he's ever played before in his career. And now there's a lot of pressure on him because he's got to pick up the slack because De'Aaron Fox is definitely not right either. But big picture, this whole thing comes down to Wemby. Where do you think he's at mentally right now? Do you believe, and I know it's not it's not a betting angle, it's not a sports thing like to handicap his ability as a player, but not showing up for the press conference, I got to tell you, I'm not someone who normally hammers people, but this is a kid who's told us routinely, I want it. I want to be the face of the league. I want to be the MVP. I'm only judged by my championships. I'm hungry to win one. I want this right now. I'm not trying to wait. I thought that showed a big crack for the Spurs. Just not going to it because now it's something else they have to talk about, something else they have to address in the locker room, something that they have to do that is not focusing on Game 6. That is an issue for me.
Obviously, he's had several superstar moments throughout the postseason, but coming off of your worst shooting performance, 4 of 15 from the floor, 27%, the bulk of his points coming from the foul line, not looking like himself offensively or defensively. How much of this do you chalk up to fatigue? And I know that the minutes are a big conversation right now. He averaged 29 per game in the regular season, nearly 39 per game right now. It's a big jump.
Yeah, I don't think it's fatigue. I think it's a kid that really... There's a couple things that play with him. One, he doesn't have a signature move, right? He doesn't have a Kobe, fadeaway, Jordan fadeaway. He doesn't have a skyhook. He doesn't really have that in his repertoire offensively. And I thought part of the reason things went south for them in Game 5 was he panicked and he tried to live on the perimeter. Dude, you're 7'5".
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's an ego thing where he wants to prove he's a more talented player than just a 7'5" guy. He doesn't have to rely on his size. How about this, man? It's all on the line. You want to win a championship, rely on your size. Go down low, bang underneath the basket, drop it in the hoop, move on, advance, and get to the finals. I think there's too much of Wemby trying to live on that perimeter because he doesn't have those moves down low to deal with someone who's as physical as Hartenstein.
So, and that's the thing, right, is they made that adjustment. Putting Hartenstein on him has clearly paid dividends for OKC from that end. But even on the defensive side of the floor last game, Wemby wasn't showing up. So that's kind of where I brought in the fatigue question that, maybe he doesn't have the legs for those shots and trying to prove a point, but even inside on D, he wasn't doing it.
Yeah, I think last game was like a hissy fit, like a kid just getting frustrated with where he was at because let's remember, they got off to a pretty good start, then ultimately lost the first quarter. And then things just started unraveling. They couldn't really cut down that deficit over and over again. And I think that plays into why we didn't see him at the press conference. It's like, this is what the French do, though. They need the U.S. to back them at the 2 world wars. And Wembanyama is just picking up where his Frenchmen consistently do. I'm looking at tonight, and I do think he bounces back because I do think he has that mentality where he wants the moment. Points would be the way I'd look.
27.5.
Although I would tell you this. What do you have, 6 rebounds last game? 8 rebounds, something like that?
6.
How can you be 7'4", 7'5", and not have double-digit rebounds in every game you play?
Well, and what was the offensive boards? Wasn't it like 1?
Yeah, it wasn't much. He was not...
I think it might have been 1 offensive board for him.
I just think if you're San Antonio with the injuries to the other guys, and I get that Hartenstein has been a pest for them, you got to feed Wemby. And if you want to utilize Wemby's agility and ability to move, I would run. That's why I kind of like Hartenstein under PRA. If you go look at how this series was played, San Antonio stole Game 1. They mitigated Hartenstein. He was only on the floor for like 12 minutes. If you play a style where Hartenstein doesn't really fit in, where it's more fast-paced, and you have Oklahoma City having to go to a smaller lineup, I think that plays right into the Spurs' hands. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do that when you've got lower body injuries to 2 of your key guards.
Yeah, I just confirmed it. It was 1 offensive rebound for Victor Wembanyama. Yeah, it seems impossible given his stature, right? Chet Holmgren also had a nice game last time out, which I think is important for OKC. So I brought this up with Matt yesterday, And on the surface, I was like, maybe this is a stupid question. When you look at Western Conference Final MVP in terms of the odds board right now, is Alex Caruso at 35-1 too long? And then I look at the board this morning, and it's 25-1. So I guess some other people at least agreed from that standpoint. I get SGA is the best player on the court, and he's the two-time defending and reigning MVP. But statistically, his numbers haven't really been there. And Caruso, if he has another big performance, he has outplayed what we think of him every single game.
I don't think it's crazy at all. I know a few people at the network. Kelly has like 50-1, 30-1. I think Will Hill has a huge 100-1, something like that on him. If we're going to talk about most valuable player, and I think people know at this point I get caught up in the terminology, the fact that they chose value as the word for these awards and not most outstanding, I believe there's a reason for that. And if we're going to talk about value in the series, you bake in what SGA is going to do at this point, right? You understand he's going to be 30 points. He's going to be like 7 to 10 assists. You're going to get a few rebounds. He's going to live at the free throw line. He's going to be that dude. But let's also talk about the fact that you have a Thunder team that's without two of their better ball handlers, two guys who are consistent scorers on this roster this year in Mitchell and J-Dub. I think value, if we're going to use that word, if Caruso has another big game and that leads them to a victory either today or potentially in a Game 7, 100% live to win this award because they don't get here without him stepping up in their time of need.
Thunder actually aren't winning the minutes with SGA. They're pretty much even. He's minus 330 in this market.
He hasn't been special.
He statistically has not been. Caruso, now as I've refreshed the odds board, I looked at this market 30 minutes before we came on air. He was 25-1. He's now 18-1. Had 22 points off the bench in Game 5, 6 assists, 3 steals. The Thunder are plus 42 with him on the court, minus 33 when he sits. The three-point numbers, 18 to 31 from three. Among the players who have attempted at least 30, that's tied for the hottest 5-game shooting stretch from three a player has ever had in conference finals history. And he's defending. Wemby, Castle, Harper, Fox, and Vassell are a collective 13 of 40 with him as the primary defender.
Let me add to this. He's made 18 threes in this series. That's the most for a bench player in any postseason series. He made 53 three-pointers in the entire regular season.
The comp of what he did in the regular season to now is crazy.
When we talk about stepping up, I'm going to get in on this. I think it's trendy. I think a lot of people are making this case, but I think it's a worthy case.
Well, and maybe now that people are making the case, it'll get to the
open up to the voters.
And I know sometimes we get into our own little worlds here.
Do we know who the voters are? How many voters are there? Sometimes these awards, it's like 6 people vote for the award.
So it is interesting. I'm curious, and I don't know enough about it for the NBA. For the NHL, for Conn Smythe, for example, it's 18 people from the Professional Writers Association.
Isn't the Super Bowl for MVP? Don't they vote in like the third quarter?
For a lot of those, it's the same thing for like bowl games.
Yeah, I'm going to join everyone on this. I think it's a very good point. If I can find it out here, I don't see it available right now. Someone hit me up. I think maybe BetMGM has it.
Shop around, though, because like I said, this is like another one of those numbers that has been crazy on the move where things sit right now. And obviously, as we're talking all things NBA, if you haven't gone to vsin.com yet and checked out all of the content, there are guys Zach Cohen breaking it down every single day. There is so much going on, and this is your final week to get a full year of VSiN Pro. Normally $240. You're getting it for just $199 right now. Sign up, use the code PRO, P-R-O. You get unlimited access to every single thing we have available. So in addition to all the articles I'm talking about and breakdowns, the bets from all of your favorite show hosts and guests, the bet splits, AI-powered prop tools, and so much more. vsin.com/subscribe is how you can get in there. We got to step aside. When we come back, though, excited to have Mitch Lawrence join the program, get his thoughts on tonight and beyond in the NBA.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Couple quick score updates for you. The Angels up 3-1 on the Tigers right now in the bottom of 5. Wonder if we can get an underdog home here to start the early slate. White Sox also up 1-0 early on the Minnesota Twins. For inquiring minds on the Women's College World Series, Tennessee.
Oh, we're waiting for this one.
Tennessee and Texas about to get underway over on ESPN. Tennessee a +120 dog. The defending Women's College World Series champs, Texas -145, where things sit right now. The day already got started with Texas Tech run-ruling Mississippi State 8-0. There you go. We'll keep tabs on all of that as we go. Dustin, Stormy Buonantony, Dustin Sweetelson with you. But we do have Game 6 on deck in the Western Conference Final. I will not take your laughter on the Women's College World Series. I enjoy it, so leave me alone.
Hey, look, we all have things we enjoy in life. I stick to the main stuff. Maybe that makes me boring in today's world. Like, I just don't have the bandwidth to add things. If I didn't care about it when I was 12, at 41, I don't care about it either.
I've been out there to OKC a couple times for it. It's very fun. They get a really, really awesome turnout.
Why aren't you working it then? Why wouldn't they angle to get you?
I've already reached my event limit with the NHL. Let's get into some more basketball talk here. Very excited to have Mitch Lawrence join us here on the Progressive Guest Line. You can catch him, of course, on SiriusXM NBA Radio, Mad Dog Radio. And a big game tonight, OKC with an opportunity to shut the door, Mitch. San Antonio certainly going to have their say in this, especially with one of the best players in the world on the court on their side. Although Victor Wembanyama coming off his worst performance of the playoffs, what kind of a bounce back or response do you expect from Wemby?
I don't know. It's going to be his 6th game, I think, in 11 days. That's a long grind for Victor Wembanyama. And look at the minutes, guys, that he's playing in this series. The first 2 series, he was under 30, averaging 28 in the first round against Portland, 29 against Minnesota. Here he's up to 39 minutes a game. And they're trailing in the series. And they're on the brink of elimination. So your guess is as good as mine. I think we all feel like, some of us feel like, not all, but some of us feel like he'll have a great bounce back. He'll show you what he can do like in game 1. I'm not so sure. This is a very rigorous schedule for a guy who's never played in the playoffs before. And Oklahoma City has bounced him around a little bit with their physical play. And he has struggled mightily in a couple of games. So I wouldn't be surprised if OKC wrapped it up tonight with another underwhelming performance from Big Victor.
Mitch, but how about mentally for him and the team, right? Because he's the leader. They take on his identity. I thought not showing up to the press conference, I don't think it's like this awful thing that he did, but I think it shows cracks. It shows some weakness. It becomes a thing that hangs over. And also the performance last game, living on the perimeter, chucking up the threes, it just feels like mentally they may be worn down at this point. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think it's fair. Listen, I mean, you know, he should have win, lose, or draw. As the face of the franchise and maybe one day the face of the league, you owe it to fans, you owe it to your team, you owe it to the league, you owe it to your teammates especially to show up to these post-game press conferences. You know, they used to talk about, you know, Tim Duncan never loved to talk to the media. But if he or his team fell short in a playoff situation and other guys didn't play well, he was there to take the bullets for everybody. He didn't shirk that responsibility. And in this case, where Victor was so poor the last game out, had no impact. And they were in a couple of games, guys. Game 3, I remember especially, I was on Sirius that night doing a post-game show, and the last outing, where he's had basically no impact in these games, in these losses. That is when he really has to step forward, own it, take responsibility for it, and move on. And we'll see what happens now. We'll see if there are other failings from the night before. You talk about the cracks. They might have some cracks there. We have not seen them yet in a situation where it's win or go home. Mm-hmm. So this is a big step. Now, conversely, for Oklahoma City, I would not be surprised at all if they close them out on the road, because as an experienced team that won a title last year, I think they know when you have the chance to close out a team like San Antonio, home or road, you don't waste time. You don't waste opportunities, because you never know what's going to happen to you if it comes down to a deciding game and injuries. And then, you know, if you're lucky enough or good enough to get to the next round, who you have available, who's not available if you play the Knicks.
I know the series was tied at 2 going into Game 5, but OKC now won 3 of the last 4 in this series as well, and some of those victories pretty lopsided at that, and that's without them having right now A.J. Mitchell, Jalen Williams. Does it kind of just feel like in your mind that things do end tonight, or how do you see this going? San Antonio is a 3.5-point home favorite.
I know, which is not it's like a one-possession game. I think Oklahoma City has a great chance to close it out. I continue to be amazed, guys, by the fact that they're missing an all-NBA player, their second most important player in Jalen Williams, and they continue to win. That just shows you the quality of depth. And A.J. Mitchell also. I mean, when you put those guys in, you just take a regular Thunder box score and you insert their names where there should be, starting, coming off the bench. They're going, 10, 11, 12 deep? It's amazing the job that Sam Presti has done, and amazing the coaching Mark Dagnall's done. And I'm not a Oklahoma City Thunder fan, but I am a fan of teams like that who are well put together and who win championships, and then basically are teams that if they lose and have setbacks in the playoffs, they bounce back. They know what it takes to get the job done, and they never lose the mentality of it's one game, we move on to the next game. They're experienced enough to basically shed any loss and come off mentally prepared for the next game. With this Spurs team, I just don't know. They're so young. We've seen the inexperience come out in some of their mindless turnovers, in some of their bad passing, in some of their mindless fouls 40 feet from the basket. Right now I'm siding with Oklahoma City based on what we've seen from them over the last couple of years as champions, and the Spurs being a team that just is learning how to get things done.
Mitch, you've covered the league for a long time, so you know how these things build with narratives. And when we're down to just one series being highlighted here each and every day, those narratives get a little bit bigger. And the big one for Oklahoma City's side is the whistle with SGA and the foul baiting and all of that. Do you believe on the road he continues to get the same whistle he's been getting? Because it does feel like there is so momentum and frustration about him getting to the free throw line so much.
It's amazing, especially when you look at social media, and there's a referendum every day. It seems like every hour about SGA and the preferential treatment and the flopping. And, listen, guys, all power to him. Through the years, the top players in the league sometimes get the benefit of the call. I saw it in the 80s when I first started out with Magic and Larry Bird. And then in the 90s, obviously, Michael Jordan, which is the guy everybody references. But those guys, they were beyond. They were special players who didn't need the whistles. They just happened to get them. And so I think SGA, his performance in San Antonio tonight, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he put up huge numbers tonight. I think he'll thrive off the fact that he played what he said was his worst quarter the other night. They still came back and won the game. I think he'll thrive off the fact that he knows he can close this team out and come out right away and put a lot of pressure on San Antonio, see how they respond. But, yeah, the narratives are there. Now more than ever, social media plays into it. And it's, it's just one of those things. Sometimes you have to laugh at the things that you read out there because it's unbelievable.
Well, speaking to that, I was laughing a little bit because the stat that's been going around right now is SGA has an opportunity to be the sixth player in NBA history to win MVP and make the finals in the same year. And the other names are Steph Curry, LeBron, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Bill Russell. It's like this amazing group, and how kids all over the world and all over the country are playing basketball in their front yards trying to be like those guys. But if they're trying to be like SGA, they're learning how to flop. So there's that element of it.
Gotta go to acting school.
Last 90 seconds with you real quickly. Should OKC get out of this thing, how do you think they match up with the Knicks on the other side?
I think it's a nightmare for the Knicks. I think the Knicks want San Antonio very badly because they would face an inexperienced team in the finals. And Victor then, who knows what kind of shape he'll be in physically for the grind of a potentially long series. So I don't think the Knicks are going to get what they would probably be hoping for. I think Oklahoma City's a nightmare matchup because, first of all, they've played in the finals. They've won. The Knicks have not been there. So that gives them a little bit of a leg up. The other thing is Jalen Brunson has not faced the type of facing long, athletic, numerous guys. They can send waves of defenders at Jalen Brunson. And I'll tell you, the amazing thing about this 11-game winning streak for the Knicks, if you remember last year in the playoffs, how much was Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns exposed as bad defenders? Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Cleveland it's like they couldn't even expose those guys a little bit. Those guys were able to flourish defensively. That will change against Oklahoma City. I think both ends of the court will be problems for the Knicks in that series. And Oklahoma City, I've been there for games, and that is to me, a much more venomous, raucous crowd than Madison Square Garden. Aren't a lot of celebrities sitting courtside in Oklahoma City. They're fans who come with a purpose of unnerving the other team. I think it's going to be a very tough series for the Knicks. Could they get a game or two? Maybe a game. I don't know about two. But, hey, this has been a magical ride. Who's to say they don't get an injury for Oklahoma City that helps them out? That would be something, right?
Mitch, awesome spot. Thank you so much for the time. Mitch Lawrence, everybody, make sure you check him out on NBA Network Radio, Sirius XM. We'll be right back.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Conversation real quickly. Last segment with Mitch Lawrence is welcoming back here to Money Moves. Stormy Buonantony, Dustin Sweetelson with you. Some hypothetical odds real quickly for the NBA Finals, since he said he feels like if OKC does end up winning this thing against San Antonio, it's pretty much game blouses for the Knicks after that. The number on OKC, minus 265 against the Knicks. The Thunder, even if you're laying a game, 1.5 games in that series, it's minus 118. The Knicks would be plus 215 dogs there. The number that surprised me, though, is should San Antonio win, at least on DraftKings, those odds are minus 225 in favor of the Spurs. That seemed a little bit steep to me against New York.
Well, because experience has to matter at some point, right? And in a pressure-packed situation in the finals, all that experience, the continuity, the chemistry, the playing together, it's on the side of the Knicks. And oh, by the way, in the regular season, the Knicks won the series with the Spurs. They beat them in the NBA Cup. I think that should be way bigger of a factor into that price. Now, you said hypothetical. What about analytical odds? Because I don't see anything listed for the Cavaliers.
That's so wrong.
The Cavaliers facing one of these teams, there's nothing out there. They analytically won that series.
Kenny Atkinson thinks that they are about, what, minus 200? No, just kidding.
Look, I also think the Knicks have a good chance against the Thunder. I know that's sacrilegious at this point, but, I mean, we go back a year ago. These guys have played so much basketball. Indiana took the Thunder to 7. And I know that, like, everything that they do from a pace perspective can be something that's really difficult for a team like Oklahoma City who likes to set up that defense to deal with. But I do think that the Knicks are playing the best basketball maybe of anyone we've seen in recent memory heading into the finals. The layoff for them could be an issue. I understand that as well. But I think it would be foolhardy to think that the Thunder just steamroll them. Now, I have a Knicks ticket. When the Thunder were losing in Game 5, I bet them plus 140 to win the title.
Okay.
So I'm not saying it's likely, but I think the Knicks have plenty of fight for them.
Okay, we'll get back to the NBA a little bit later on. We do have some live MLB action going on right now. The Angels still up 3-1 right now over Detroit as a dog. Had that 3-run spot in the 5th. Detroit's lone run in the 2nd, a solo shot. See if they can try to add to that and get back on top here the last few innings. And then you've been keeping tabs on this Chicago game. They're still up 1-0?
1-0. Chicago had a runner thrown out at the plate, though, on a hit to the infield. Minnesota brought the infield in. They know every run's precious today because they're throwing a bullpen game, and their bullpen's not good. And also, it's not like Chicago's bullpen's all that good either. But you had Rojas scratch from the start. Woods Richardson competitive, keeping them in the game. We're in the 3rd. I don't know how much more you see Woods Richardson. He just threw a couple innings against these White Sox on Monday. But Davis Martin looks really good. And I think this is a guy maybe we need to start talking about here. I don't know if he can win Cy Young. I think I saw him around 65-1 earlier today. I think he's going to be an all-star potentially. He's got a 1.96 ERA right now. He's got 3 strikeouts and 2 2/3 against Minnesota. He is really rounding into form. He's got like an 87, 88 mile-an-hour slider to go with a 95-plus mile-an-hour fastball. Like, he is a live arm right now, and he's a big part of this Chicago surge this year.
Speaking of Cy Young, we've talked a lot this week in particular about just how intriguing the top of the board is for NL Cy Young. And yesterday, Ohtani, he's the only player now in MLB history with leadoff homers and back-to-back starts as a pitcher. Also tossed 6 hitless innings in double duty yesterday. And then I think this is a fun one. So Christopher Sanchez, who's the favorite in that market right now, plus 180, had another awesome start. In 1911, a guy named Grover Alexander Cleveland, who, yes, was born during Grover Cleveland's first term as the 22nd president, fun fact for you, set a Phillies franchise record by pitching 41 consecutive scoreless innings. Sanchez now has exceeded that mark up to 44 2/3 scoreless innings straight for him. Unreal.
It's insane. 44 2/3. So 59 innings is the record. Oral Hershiser. This, for left-handed pitching, though, it is right on the edge of history. Carl Hubbard Hubble, 45 and a third in 1933. Doc White, 45 innings in 1904. Christopher Sanchez, right on the heels, 44 and 2/3 in 2026. Only pitcher in modern Major League Baseball with 40-plus strikeouts and no runs allowed in a calendar month. Okay. I'm looking at this Cy Young market.
Which, by the way, the first since Oral Hershiser to do that for a month. So that's another just great name for him to be among.
He's plus 150 to win NL Cy Young. I'm ready to get my heart broken. I'm ready to lose all my money because I got great tickets on everyone else. I have 25 to 1 on Ohtani from the preseason we discussed on cashing out. I bet Mizorowski 15 to 1 a couple weeks ago. He's now the second shot at 3 to 1. I have Wheeler at 50 to 1. He's 20 to 1. I have Harrison from the Brewers 100 to 1. He's 35 to 1.
That's a good number.
I have Mason Miller 100 to 1. They're not beating Christopher Sanchez. I watched this guy at a lot of his starts, and I thought yesterday against San Diego, you want to separate a great pitcher and an elite pitcher. It's when you face a little bit of trouble. Do you have something left in the tank to get out of it? It was, I want to say the 7th inning, 6th inning, something like that. Runners first and third, 1 or 2 outs. He just bared down, battled, got out of it unscathed. Whenever he needs it, he's got another gear. It's kind of crazy because like he always had a live arm. I don't know anyone ever really thought he'd refine it the way he has. He is the best pitcher in the National League right now. It's not, and I'd love to make a case for all my other bets. I'm going to have to bet Sanchez because I don't think he's fading at any point.
Jeez Louise. Also, I said plus 180, plus 145 at DraftKings right now. Jacob Mizorowski, your second shot on the board, plus 340. Skeens, plus 450. Chris Sale, plus 750, as is Ohtani. And speaking of the aforementioned Chris Sale, he is among the starting pitchers that is out there today. So, like, where are you looking on the board for the remaining games in MLB?
So I'm going to back Atlanta here today, but I would tell you the steam has moved against me a bit. There's some pretty good action, it looks like, coming in the other way on Boston. I know Peyton Toley's been pretty solid to begin the season. 2.45 ERA for him, 39 Ks, 36 and 2/3 innings. Faced Atlanta just a few days ago, or I guess 2 weeks ago. 8 innings, 2 earned, 3 strikeouts for him. Atlanta's bat's pretty good against lefties this year, 9th in average, 11th in OPS, 4th in home runs. On the other side, though, I'm going to trust Chris Sale on the road. I laid 138 last night. It's now minus 135. He had one bad start against the Angels this year. Outside of that, my man's been impeccable. 3.09 ERA on the road versus .60 at home. So not as good on the road, but his Ks are up on the road. It's more about not trusting Boston. Even though the numbers bear out, they're really good against lefties this year. They're 2nd in average, 8th in OPS. But I don't find them to be a very consistent offensive team. They also have a horrible record at home for some reason. I just think Atlanta is the better team. You're getting a discounted price on the experienced, better pitcher who last time he was at Fenway had awesome numbers, 7 innings, 5 hit, 1 earned, 8 strikeouts. I'll take that price on Atlanta, but I would say this, very similar to yesterday, this is a fishy line. San Diego and the Phillies was a fishy line. However, Philly ultimately got there. They were down to minus 128 here at Circa. They opened minus 167. I saw this one north of 140 last night. I was happy to get minus 138. Now we're down to minus 135. It is fishy that people are backing Boston, but I'm going to go against that steam and take the Braves.
Yeah, I know the Braves have lost 3 of their last 4, but they're one of the best teams in baseball for all the reasons that you just laid out there. I wouldn't want to be going against that juggernaut, especially if you can get such a cheap price on Atlanta, too.
Yeah,
so I don't blame you at all.
I think the Sale strikeouts is something I consider too. Last I looked, it was 7.5, and it feels like he's probably going to get to 8. He's probably not getting 9 against Boston with the way they hit lefties, but you go over 7.5 at minus 102. I don't hate backing him from that direction.
Might as well go back to another pitcher on the top of the board for Cy Young. Paul Skeens in action today. The Pirates taking on the Cubs. Pittsburgh minus 175 money line favorites. Colin Ray on the other side plus 144 for the Cubs. Total 7.5. A little juice on the under at minus 112.
Yeah, we've never been in this situation before. Paul Skeens off of 2 bad starts.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. Also, the Cubbies coming off breaking their 10-game win streak last time out. I'm fascinated by this whole game. I've stayed away from it. I kind of like the idea of taking Chicago first 5 plus a half a run plus 106. So Skeens hasn't faced the Cubs this year. And he really wasn't dominant against them last year. Pirates went 1-2 in his starts, a 3.95 ERA for him, which that's like someone else having a 5 ERA. 13 and 2/3 innings. He averaged under a strikeout per inning against the Cubs. On the other side, Colin Ray, he's a contact guy, but he was good against the Buccos a year ago. Went 2-1, 2.65 ERA. He doesn't miss a lot of bats, which is always concerning about wanting to back him. But if I was doing anything here, I'm staying away because I want to see if Paul Skeens is okay. I want to see if he's right. He's up to 5-1 for Cy Young. If you think this is when the turnaround starts for him, 5-1 is probably the best price you're going to get. But I'm concerned there may be something bigger going on, so I'm going to wait and see on this. And you know me, it takes a lot for me not to bet on it.
Sit back, watch, and see. And this time of year is so much fun. We've got the NHL and NBA postseason going on, Major League Baseball in full swing, pun intended. But as you know, the sports calendar never stops. And not only are we covering it all at VSiN, but the Sharp Plays has you covered as well, winning for 15 straight years. All of their bets documented, logs posted publicly at sharpplays.com. That kind of transparency, rare in the industry. When the Sharp Plays move, the sports books take notice. Advanced AI, trusted insider intel, they find the value before the numbers shift. You can learn more if you head over to sharpplays.com. We do need to step aside here on Money Moves real quickly. When we come back, we'll reset hour 2 of the program coming up. Big hour on deck. Very excited to talk a little College World Series with Jensen Lewis a little bit later on in the show. We'll have our best bets for the day at the end. Plenty of NHL and NBA postseason, but also with OTAs rolling on right now, we're hearing from a handful of coaches and players as they get set for the 2026 football season. And these two quarterbacks have a very different opinion of their relationship in the room right now I'd like to discuss.